From tornadoes to hurricanes, blizzards, and everything in between, you're listening to the Stormfront Freaks podcast. The Stormfront Freaks are former television meteorologist Mark Massaro, atmospheric science graduate and skywarn storm spotter Brady Harris, digital meteorologist and weather producer on the Weather Channel app Dina Knightley, former on-camera meteorologist at the Weather Channel Kim Cunningham, and I'm your announcer and Skywarn Network coordinator Mark Johnson. Now, here's the moderator of the Stormfront Freaks podcast, Skywarn storm spotter and chaser Phil Johnson.
All right, hey, welcome to the most entertaining weather podcast on your listening and viewing device. This is the Stormfront Freaks podcast. We always want to let you know, hey, if this is your first time listening or watching, if you're a Stormfront Freaks virgin, we hope you enjoy the show, but we also hope that you get a chance, if you did like the show, go to stormfrontfreaks.com, and you can find some of our previous shows, all the previous shows. This is 61, so we have 60 other episodes with great guests from the weather industry, people like Jen Carfagno, Harold Brooks. We've had on the show. You're guaranteed to find someone that you know and love that's been through this already before. But as I mentioned, this is episode 61, and for the first time on this show, so we've gone 60 episodes without ever having someone from Australia on the show, so that's kind of crazy. But we have a storm chaser from Aussie, from down under. We got Daniel Shaw with us tonight, so looking forward to chatting it up with Daniel. He's going to be getting the lightning round treatment, and we'll also be bringing some weather fools to the table, as well as bringing a new segment, guys. We've got tonight, we're going to have Weather Trolls. This is a new segment we've got. You're certainly not going to want to miss it, because it's either going to really suck or it's going to be outstanding. I don't think there's going to be an in-between on that one. But before we get to that, I want to let you know we're excited to be partnered up with HelicityDesigns.com, which is the leader in weather-themed clothing and accessories for the storm freak and you. If you haven't seen these guys, go to HelicityDesigns.com. Besides their new Weather Geek Club that you can get in to earn rewards, they've also got an upcoming Storm Crate, which what this is, it's a Weather Geek subscription box. So you subscribe to this, and every month or every other month, however he decides to do it, you'll get a subscription box with all kinds of sweet weather-themed gear that you can be a part of. They also carry the exclusive line of Stormfront Freaks podcast gear, like the lightweight and flexible Best Damn Weather Show shirt. So this thing comes in various heather colors. You guys know those shirts that are like heather t-shirts, and it's got a little poly in it, so it's nice and stretchy and thin. I love those things. But you can get, listen to this, you can get a 5% discount on your entire order when you use the code SFF. So SFF for Stormfront Freaks. Use that SFF code at checkout, and you'll get 5% discount on everything. You can find all of that at HelicityDesigns.com. So let's go ahead and introduce our co-hosts. It's always happy hour here at Stormfront Freaks Bar. We're going to start with MJ. What are you drinking at the bar tonight, sir?
Got a simple Angry Orchard hard apple cider.
It's getting close to fall. It's hot as hell, though.
I know.
I'm not feeling fall, but it is September, so that's about apple time.
It's snow on Pikes Peak.
That's true. Maz, what are you drinking?
I am drinking out of my Nebraska Cornhuskers cup.
Good old standard.
Water, because I just came from a pub. I need to drink water.
Really?
Yeah, we were having a men's church group there. That's the best.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you Catholic?
I've heard that excuse.
Are you Catholic?
No. I'm
You're
probably
not,
the
okay.
only non-Catholic Italian you'll probably run into.
What?
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Dina, what are you drinking tonight?
I'm just drinking wine out of my cool, check it,
Wonder Woman
glass.
Yeah, Wonder Woman. For those
Like West
listening,
Virginia.
she has a Wonder Woman wine glass.
I do.
All right. Well, hey, let's go ahead, Dina, since we're on you. Let's go ahead and get to our guest and introduce our Aussie tonight.
All right. Tonight we welcome Daniel Shaw, an Australian storm chaser. Daniel often chases severe weather in Sydney and captures events for the local media. He serves as news director for Severe Weather Australia, and every year he travels to the United States between April and June to seek out some of the world's most powerful storms. So if you're in Australia and it's what, I think you said 11 a.m. Are you drinking anything over there?
Well, yes. A warning to all viewers in advance, this might get funny, it might get sad. At any point, you can turn off or thumbs up, whatever you like to do. Plain water. Now, there's a story behind this. Plain water is what I call water. We're in Outback Steakhouse, myself and my friend Jeremy Holmes. We're chasing plain water. We go, sit down, order a steak. Waitress comes up. We're in Cheyenne, Wyoming in America. Here comes an Australian to Outback Steakhouse. Yes, I know. Just go with this one. I asked for plain water. The waitress, because of my accent, it's not that strong. It's not like I said, "G'day, how you going? Can I get some plain water?" I said, "Can I have some plain water?" It's a little bit neutral. She's confused. She goes and asks the manager, "What is plain water?" An Australian's asking for plain water. She thought I said pine water. Half the staff go into
Oh my God.
asking the waiters. The manager has to come across and ask us, "What's plain water?" And the Australian's asking us for a plain water. Anyway, 15 minutes later, more like 4, but they come back and they say, "We don't have any pine water. We're so sorry." And we're going, "Oh my God."
Oh my God.
The story behind plain water is pine water. Now, a little bit later, I think the next day we're chasing, we find Piney Creek, myself and Jeremy Holmes. We go and speak to this park's guy. We find the source of pine water, and we took a photo and found
Beautiful.
it.
Oh, nice.
My God.
That's the story about plain water.
The rest is
Just go into
history.
any Outback Steakhouse and ask for plain water, and they'll be confused.
Guys, that's what I'm drinking next episode, by the way, some pine water.
We got to see if we
Pine
can
water.
find it on Amazon or something.
I want rights to that.
Yeah,
So
there you go.
Daniel, question for you. I think that I and many would actually like to know. So obviously you're a storm chaser, and obviously you have been to the, I shouldn't say obviously, but you've been to the plains, Great Plains before every year. Since when? When did you start coming here? What year?
I have to think about it. I think 2004 was my very first trip to the States, and Mum, God bless her, said, "Hey, you should do a storm chasing tour." I already chased storms in Australia. I chased it for the media, chased it locally. I never really put much thought into it. And 2004, I was like, "Oh, wow, this is what a real storm looks like." Went back in 2006, teamed up with Australia's one of the most respected storm chaser in the country, Jimmy DeGuara. He really taught me a lot. Great appreciation for him. And we chased together, and I was terrified, absolutely terrified. I mean, I thought I'd chased news before. I've seen everything. Nothing can compare to what you see out there. A lot of people go out to the plains and think, you know what, you'll be fine. You're not. You need good experience. 2007, I came back as just a little bit of a holiday. Baby amount of storm chasing. 2008, 9, 10 with Charles Edwards for a month at a time with Cloud9 Tours. And Charles was great enough to take me under his wing and teach me forecasting and close quarter storm interception. 2011 was my first real independent trip where I bought my own car in America and started to chase and do spotting. But it took many, many years of errors, mistakes.
But tell me, what's the weather? What are the storms like in Australia? What's storm chasing like there? How does it differ from
It's
from here in
tricky.
the States?
We have a lack of road networks here. Storms move sort of out to sea or inland, but you can't get to them. I mean, you can, just depends where you are. But for me, I got to pay maybe $26 in road tolls. It takes me 2.5 hours to get out of Sydney to actually go and chase a storm. So what I typically do is I just go to my local hill and wait for it to go past. And my real chasing's done in America. This is just baby stuff, I guess you could
Storm
say.
watching. What are the storm like? Are you getting tornadoes down there? How many? What are they like?
I've seen one water spout in my life
Okay.
off the coast once in, God, I've been chasing since I was 11 effectively. One water spout, a few supercells, one tornado supercell I've chased once off the edge of Kurnell, hit the water refinery. Very, very rare, but I never saw it. You need to go to America.
What part of Australia you're from? Because it's like the size of the United States, isn't it? Australia is huge.
Very, very similar, but most of our land is inhabitable because there's just no water out there. It's just all desert.
No pine water.
Pine water.
That's all you need is pine water. But you
This
guys
is gonna
get
go
tropical
great.
cyclones too. Have you gotten any of that on film?
I don't chase cyclones because they're prolonged events. Once there's a cyclone, some of my friends do. Our assistant chief of staff, Justin Noonan, Andy Barber, two of my good friends up in Queensland do. Chris Nitzo from my cyclone chasers. We've got some great people we look after and help with Severe Weather Australia and manage their content. and they chase cyclones. But they're prolonged events. They get stuck there for 3 or 4 days or up to a week. So we do have major flooding events. We do have major bushfire events. They're scary. And, of course, everything in between wants to kill you. Even the spider that's probably crawling my wall wants to. Probably
Can you imagine getting some storm video with like some kangaroos in this? That would be cool.
That's quite common, but you got to watch out normally because you come back at night and kangaroos run across the road. You're just going to hit them. I mean, these things are stupid. They're wonderful, adorable little creatures. But I mean, one of my chief of staff for Queensland, Jamie Nicol, he's coming back home. A kangaroo runs into his car when he's stopped. They're that stupid. So
it's almost like the deer here in the United States.
Yeah.
They're like deer that aim for you when you're stationary.
I know, that's pretty stupid.
So even the cute creatures want to kill you.
How about like haboobs? You guys get any haboobs, things like that down in Australia?
Storms, they're going to be a lot more common because we've had a big drought. New South Wales, Queensland, parts of. We're in a big drought at the moment, much like California. So that's an issue at the moment, but nothing quite like we see, my friend Mike Olbinski. You're not going to see that in Australia very often, more so in Arizona, just due to the way those storms work. But they do happen, just not very often.
So go ahead, Dina. Go ahead.
How do people get into watching storms? Like in the United States, I think people love video of storm chases. How is that in Australia? Is it any different?
It's a much smaller community. It's a much smaller community, but because there's very little road network and storms move quickly, you're not going to get a Colorado supercell that sits and rotates for 7 hours. You're going to see a storm, goes past you in 20 minutes, that's it. You go to the restaurant, you have dinner, and you go home and go sleep. That's your storms. You're looking at outflow, shelf clouds. Melbourne yesterday, some of our members, Severe Weather Australia members, got some beautiful photos in Victoria. That's the state to the south, far south of Australia. Not Tasmania, but close to it. Beautiful state. And that was just a shelf cloud that came through. So they're your biggest features. Supercells a Queensland, northern New South Wales feature, but nothing quite like America. Nothing.
So when you decided to come to the States, Daniel, to chase, you mentioned tours, but my question is, how did you finance the trip here? Was it a business? Was it a business decision? Did the business help support that? Was the tour part of supporting that, or was it just out of your pocket?
Well, no, I joined Cloud9 Tours as a guest just to learn how not to get myself killed. But
sure.
I did it
which
because
is a good place to
after
start.
what I saw in 2006, I was out of my depth. I thought I could take on anything. The answer was no. I was scared by storms. I was in the car terrified in 2006. It took a long time to get the confidence up to learn how to forecast, learn how to do close quarter interception. And in 2013, you know what happened to me. So the thing, even when you're cautious, things can happen. And I'm the first to admit to that.
Absolutely.
You've got to be humble about what happens out there. The fact is, anyone who says, I can predict a storm, I know exactly what's going to happen. You can get pretty close. I've forecasted things and it's happened right in front of me. But sometimes it's just straight pot luck. But storms, when they're HP and they're dangerous, know when to back away. You don't always need that photo or that video. Sometimes you need to just back off.
I like your video because you type in there, well, this was a mistake that I will make again. That kind of stuff where I was watching it going, oh my goodness, I wonder if he's thinking. And then you actually typed it on the screen and I'm like, oh yeah, he's thinking that.
Yeah, I mean, the YouTube videos I put on, I don't put on many because they're a lot of work to produce. Hank Schumer, a good friend of mine, Pecos Hank, God bless him.
We just had him on a couple episodes.
He was on recently. One of the best video producers for storms, I think, is Hank. A lot of people say I come second. We ran into each other and sort of, I installed a tracking device to his car. He just doesn't know yet.
Yeah, but do you handle snake?
We ran into each other. It's funny. That's the best thing about storms is you run into friends in the middle of nowhere. It's like I'm on Wyoming Road 1744 Farm Road on Bub. It's like, there's my friend from Australia. There's my friend from Chicago. There's my friend from Slovenia. And we're just on the road in the middle of nowhere. That's what makes storm chasing special. Storms are a great part of it. But the best part is meeting up with friends and sharing that common love for storms. A big part of it is obviously storm spotting as well. I'll get into that a little bit later. But there's a lot to storm chasing, and anyone who goes there just for the storm is missing out on the best parts, which is your friends and sharing that passion, what we do here, and fun stories. That's the best part about storm chasing. Anyone who doesn't do that is missing out on so much.
So when you came to the U.S., Daniel, what's different with the forecasting tools that we have that we've got access to compared to what you've got in Australia? What's the difference there?
We've got a system called BSCH, which is not bad. The fact that we actually have something. I really don't bother forecasting in Australia. I'll bring up Google and just say, is it going to rain today? It might be thunderstorms. That's as far as I look. I might dial in a little bit more than that, but because we're not forecasting a tornadic event, don't get me wrong, I love this country. It's my home, but if I want weather, I go to America. It's that simple. The forecasting tools, everything we have available at our fingertips. I think we're spoilt for choice, and the tools available freely are just incredible.
Yeah.
But do you have like a network of radar sites like we do here in the United States?
Yeah. We do. They're not high resolution. We're using very basic apps. We have Doppler radar. You can see detail in them, but nothing like GR level 3. So chasing, you got to kind of sit there and go, what's that name of that town? You Google map the town, you try and work out where you are. There's no GR level 3, which was what we use for radar software. There's no radar scope. It's just a simple app, or you can have a weather zone app, and it's got some detail in there, but it doesn't have the same sort of resolution. Remember, the storms aren't really that big over here. We get decent storms, but nothing like, put it this way, you're not going to wake up and see half of Brisbane relocated into the Pacific Ocean.
So,
Brisbane,
but where you're a news director, correct? So
a national news director.
Okay, so how are you focused strictly on weather or all news?
I'm shifting my efforts towards weather. I've covered news for nearly 20 years, I think 17 years now. Okay. But covering news these days, it's not like how it used to be. Information's scarce, and I think there's a lot. People don't appreciate media as much as what they used to. Media used to be a service. Now I think everyone calls things fake news. I think media is a very, very important part that should be respected. But again, everyone's after that sensational headline. I think covering important events, seeing how our emergency services function is an important part. Anywhere in the world, holding them accountable, supporting them, seeing the heroism, just how hard they work to support and look after public and property. I think it's amazing. I mean, I'm a proud volunteer. I do a lot of volunteering with St. John Ambulance. So I'm not a paramedic, but I'm an advanced responder. So it's a bit like an EMTB. Mm-hmm. And that was after the 2011 Joplin incident. I was well out of my depth and I had no training. So I've actually dedicated a lot of my life to supporting something which is very dear to my heart. So it's tricky because between a news director or a news camera crew or a producer of news, and you also have a medical side to you as well. So I understand from both sides, and it's hard. It's a hard industry to cover core news and see what's happening, because I've seen it from both sides.
So do you see a future in weather in Australia as far as a news
Absolutely.
or media standpoint? Yeah.
Well, no, there's a media standpoint. A lot's changed in the past. Prior to starting Severe Weather Australia, I'll give you a quick synopsis of what we're doing. Severe Weather Australia was started to support the Australian storm chasers, content producers. What was happening is media would just often take whatever they need. Sometimes they asked, sometimes they didn't, and they'd assume anything posted online was for free. What was happening is there was about to be I guess you could say, a war between storm chasers and media. I stepped in saying, look, don't worry, these are good, hard-working media. They're under a lot of pressure to produce news by a deadline. Let's work with them, support them. The cost models changed, mobile phones have changed. This broadcast camera, which may have cost $80,000, I can do this with a mobile phone at times. Depends what you want to do with it.
Yeah.
But what we're doing is we're making content affordable and accessible. Now we support 234 people, partner pages, and look after about 1.85 million people. Within 6 to 12 months, we'll probably be looking after just over 1/10 of the Australian population, and that's in about 18, 19 months. So a lot's changed, and I think it's amazing seeing our Australian content creators and storm chasers start to support each other, and I'm really quite proud of that. Really proud of that. And seeing how storm chasers are coming together, sharing each other's work. If media want to share that, they can hit share. They want to run it on their own bulletin. We'll pay a little bit of money, support them, support content. Otherwise, content will be dead. There'll be nothing left.
Now, Daniel, I saw that you were working on a project. I was reading on your page. It was called Hailstone. What is that? Can you explain
That's
it?
something you need to. It wasn't my project. It's something which I just was a part of shortly, but I had to break away from that on the Joplin incident. I found out whilst we're doing it. It's something I volunteered time with, but it's something which I was just a small part of. And it was just a project on intercepting hail. But I had to split from that after the 2011 Joplin tornado to cover it for media.
Okay.
When you were talking about how big the storms are, I was trying to grasp out there in Australia, because I keep thinking, well, it's the size of the United States. I'm sure they have big storms too. When I moved from Nebraska out in the plains to Ohio, the height of the storms decreased 20, 30,000 feet. And they were still pretty strong here, but nothing like when I went back into Nebraska and Iowa territory, where they were like 70,000 feet. What do you get for cloud tops out there?
You can get decent supercells out here. You can get good 40,000-foot storms, sometimes 50. But again, I'm in Sydney. Most of the stuff is shelf clouds, lower based. Where I chase is different. I go to America for the biggest and the best.
Yeah.
Nebraska, Colorado, Wyoming, Montana, South Dakota. That's where you need to go. Oklahoma, you can get some amazing stuff.
If there's a place in Australia, if you could choose to be, this is where I'd want to be and chase, where would that be?
Southeast Queensland.
Okay.
Big spiders. Big. Big.
It's not the cow that's in the tornado, it's a spider.
Many years ago, my dad killed a spider with a mop. The mop was stand-up mop, used to mop. Killed the spider. The legs protruded 3 inches either side. We actually discussed whether we should actually get it a museum to come around or something like that. It was alive. It was on the wall. Huntsman spider. They move very, very quickly.
Oh my god!
They hide in your car. They come and I've had them sit just on my roof when I'm driving, and they just look at you. They jump down on you sometimes.
Are they
come to Australia? It's great.
On the inside?
Yeah.
Yes. Well, they come in. They hide in the door frame. When you open the door, they sneak in, and when you least suspect it at night, and you're coming home singing to yourself.
How does something like that sneak in?
Yeah, how do you not see that?
Sneaking in.
It's Australia.
Did they think it was like, like when you have an older person and they don't have their glasses on, they open the door to call the dog, and then here comes a big
and then the kangaroo happens to slip by as well, right?
Oh my god!
I mean, look, you guys have tornadoes. We have spiders and snakes. I mean, it's a beautiful country, don't get me wrong, but everything here is trying to kill you as far as wildlife. Seriously, it's not that bad. Come to Australia. It is a beautiful place, but if you go out back, you better know your first aid.
So have you been coming to the States every year then, lately? Is this an every year deal for you?
It's 14 trips. I'd have to work it out. I think it's 14 seasons.
And so now it's obviously not too. So the purpose of coming here, are you getting any business out of this then? Is it through your severe storms business that's creating some additional revenue, or what's happening?
I love going to America just to chase storms. I live stream. I do some amazing stuff. I actually report back to the Australian media as well. But again, Australian media is really after major events. So when big things happen, I'll help cover that for Australian media. And I think doing that is my greatest passion. But Australian media are really only interested when there's really big events. So unfortunately, there's got to be major destruction and death for something to cover. So I'd much rather come to America, enjoy myself over there, and chase a beautiful storm, and for it to not make the media. That's what gives me the most pleasure. So
do the people in Australia, are they looking for you to bring back video from the States here to show them what it's like, or is there an interest in that?
They care less, right?
No, it's something I choose to do. But for me, I actually, after what I saw in 2011, I mean, I thought storm chasing was fun and games and meeting up with friends. 2011 from Joplin, the Chickasha tornado, changed everything for me. Storm chasing no longer became fun. It became, I don't want to say a mission, but something dear to my heart. I saw the first effects of what really happened. And I did my first search and rescue. I mean, I was there as media covering it, and had this gentleman come up to me and says, "Mate, can you help me find my daughter?" I don't talk about this often. I said, I'm going to help him. I said, "Where is she?" In there. And obliteration. I'm asking basic questions. When did you last see her? I don't know. Fair enough. Does she have a car? I don't know. Does she have a child? I don't know. Okay, maybe they're strange. Maybe they're not talking. Is this her house? I don't know. Ooh, sorry. And he just started going, we had propane leaking. I'm not trained for this stuff. I don't think anyone's really capable of understanding what happened that night. I did one. I got another volunteer emergency worker to stay with him because he was a danger to himself. He was going around the rubble. I'm sure there was a lady's body.
Yeah.
Rubble. The shock. I've never seen so much shock in my life.
He was shocked, or did he get hit in the head, or what?
No, he didn't get hit. I think his daughter got killed, but he was in so much shock he became a danger to himself. And I wasn't trained on how to deal with this, other than just being a human being and just assisting him. There was not much I could do for him besides making sure he was safe, and he was going through the rubble, and I'm sure the body was under there somewhere, but I don't know what.
God.
So I came back. I did my first aid course. I went, that was really useful. It was a great 2-day course.
Sure, right.
Then I did my advanced first aid. I think I paid $500 for that. That was 5 days. I went, this still doesn't come close to touching it. And eventually, I became a volunteer with St. John Ambulance, and I joined because of training, but I stayed because of the people. And this is where you're going to have a plumber working with a surgeon. These are amazing people that have gone to become doctors, paramedics, and volunteer. A bit like a Red Cross, but we cover things like events, festivals, local fetes and community things, major events. And it gives me a lot of satisfaction working with amazing teams. And a lot of my roles these days are of a command role, so liaison, working with police, ambulance, fire, rescue, national parks, and so I'll do a lot of comm work as well. So doing radio operations, and that's something which I take a lot of part in. So I've become, I think, the first person internationally to become a Skywarn storm spotter. I went and actually went down to Hutto, Texas to do my official course. I probably knew more about storms, but I did it officially. Just so at least it was done. Did my advanced training. Nothing beats actually being out there, though. Nothing beats. It takes years to learn. And I got my amateur radio license purely just so I could do storm spotting and amateur radio in America for no other reason than to help the communities I visit. And everywhere it is dear to my heart. And the feedback I've had, I mean, I dedicate a lot of my life for it, and I put Americans and the lives of others first over photos and videos. The cameras are all mounted. They can run themselves. When hell is breaking loose, if I can take part in that process, give good information, accurate information, quickly, concisely, calmly, which you'll see in the videos, that's what gives me the greatest pleasure. And I think it's a great honor to be a foreign national, to partake in that system. I can't think of a better reward than that. Far greater than any like or tweet you can put out.
How big is amateur radio in Australia, Daniel? Is it used much?
Nothing like America.
No. Okay.
I've never seen it used in emergency comms. I mean, it can be, but because I do emergency comms here with, I guess you could say, a volunteer ambulance service, amateur radio doesn't come into it. It's there if we needed it, but no one's really set up with it. I think they're one of the best setups, and I'm going to give great credit to Bernard's team up in Salina, Kansas. K-Link, the K-Link network, which is in Kansas, runs an amateur radio network which goes across the entire state. I can key up nearly anywhere in Kansas, and I'm welcomed in with open arms. I'm great friends with everyone there. And you can say this: break VK 2FSV, tornado 2.5 miles south of Salina, Kansas. Bernard, the emergency management goes, done. 7 seconds, the sirens are on. From picking up handheld mic to having sirens on is about 7 seconds.
Wow.
It is
That's
it's
impressive.
that quick.
He speaks Australian.
Yes, he does. Good friend. So big props to them and the team. And I mean, I'm welcomed all over the country as well. So for me, that's an important part of what I do. I'm not paid for it. It's something which after 2011, I've seen what can happen firsthand. And I really don't want it to happen. I'd much rather chase like that double landspout day. I did one Spotter Network report if I was lucky, but it didn't hurt anyone. That was a perfect day. I think it was Cope, Colorado, or Seabird, Colorado. That was an amazing day. I just sat there filming away. Perfect day. But when shit hits the fan, to be part of that network, to be able to calmly give reports, that's the greatest reward. And I think everyone, and this is something I really want to make a point with, Corbin, God rest his soul, my dear friend. When we lost a dear friend, and my other friends killed him in an accident. We all know about that. And not to bring the show down, He was my protege with amateur radio. I remember helping him driving back from Texas to Oklahoma, and he watched all my videos. He wanted to get into amateur radio, got his license, following what I did, and I was helping him how to do a PL tone sweep, how to find a repeater. And I think every single storm chaser that says, I want to chase storms, get your ham radio license first. Get a radio on your car, because I can tell you now, you can get 16-mile range on simplex when everything fails. You could hit the 146, 550 frequency, 70 centimeter frequencies, and actually hear real-time information. A bridge is out, power lines are down, people need help. We've got doctors, paramedics, nurses, first responders, firefighters out there chasing storms. And if they're all on amateur radio, and the good ones are, we've called for help in those frequencies. And that's the best thing I can promote to anyone who wants to chase. Get your ham radio license. I don't care how nerdy it is. That is what's going to really help you and others when you're out there. Share your passion. But when it goes to shit, know what to do and have the right training to help. Don't get in the way. Let the emergency service be there first. But most times, you're there first. Know what to do and have the right people with you.
So I'd have to imagine you've got quite the first aid. You bring some first aid supplies with you while you chase.
Yeah,
what do you have in your truck? Yeah, what do you have in your truck?
I've had it for years, even before St. John. I've actually got a full AED defibrillator. I think Mike Pendergast has one as well, which is good. There's actually another person out there who's got one. Full resus kit. I mean, if you need to use a defib out there, you're screwed anyway. It's probably going to be used on me for my eating fast food. I've got one. That wasn't a joke. That was a joke. Things like just basic first aid, Band-Aids, the Band-Aid brigade, we're good at that. But knowing it's the knowledge of knowing how to use it. The biggest risk out there, I think, for us is lightning. If you get directly struck by lightning, I think we're all dead. But if it's an indirect strike,
AED's not working.
Well, no, if it's an indirect strike, or is it just enough to stop the heart? Unless you have an AED on site ready within 3 to 10 minutes, you guys, you're gone. If you're
the resuscitation wouldn't help. You need that, right?
Defib's the only thing that's going to restart that heart. Resus will really help in a drowning situation, but if it's a heart attack due to electrocution from a lightning, you need an AED. It's that simple. So if you're in remote Nebraska and a lightning strike's taken someone out, an indirect one, and someone started CPR right away, and someone had amateur radio, said, hey, Dan, are you nearby, using whatever call sign they want to use? And I'll stop what I'm doing and help them. It's not what I'm there to do, but I mean, I'd expect everyone to do the same for me. It's a community out there.
Yeah.
It's a family.
Do you keep your chase vehicle in the States then? Do you have you just have one in the States? Okay.
Yep. 2011, I bought a vehicle. It's expensive going to America every year. It's really expensive.
I bet.
Crap, you got car insurance you got to take care of.
Oh, God. Well, the thing is, my insurance is a fortune because it's not what I do. They know what I do. But if the issue is because it's registered in Las Vegas, everyone drives like, sorry to the Las Vegas viewers, please drive carefully so my insurance can come down. After that, I've had an incident. But,
Daniel, you want to raise some money? I got an idea for you. You know, the huntsman spider thing? Americans, we don't have a clue on that. You combine that with tornadoes like Sharknado, which is crazy, and make it Spider-Nado, that would make you money.
Yep.
Yeah, I dare you to come and straight and play with them. You'll be running down the road.
Yeah.
I would be crying and running away.
All right, Daniel, I do want to ask you one last question, because obviously we've had a chance to watch your video from El Reno, which you mentioned already. That was a crazy year. I'm curious to know what your day was like picking your setup that day, like waking up in the morning, picking your setup, and kind of how that day transpired to where, finishing with, good God, what you were in at that moment. How'd that day work out and plan out for you?
I survived.
Yeah.
You're speaking to a ghost right now. It's that simple. I should not be here. It's that simple. And God bless Chucky for driving into me. Long story short, it was the forecast was a no-brainer. Everyone knew where to go. It was a very clear forecast. It started off, I was there chasing with my friend Greg Ansell. G'day, Greg. How you going? From Arizona. He's a good guy, Greg. There was a pack. We stayed together all the way in case a car broke down, and we knew it was going to be a dangerous day. And Greg's trained in first aid as well. Where do you go with this? The long and short of it, there's a 1 hour, 11-minute video. I really suggest anyone who's never seen it, watch the whole thing. switch your phone off, and remember to breathe. You watch, and G Moore said this recently on my personal Facebook page, what events led to that day. And I said, watch the whole thing. I said, I put the whole thing on YouTube. There's only one bit which is missing, is the audio when I get first hit by the truck.
Oh, jeez.
Very simply put, I made, I think, 11 risk assessments before we even went into that storm. I didn't know I was driving to El Reno. As far as, well, we could see it. I'm down there. We took our time. We drove down to it, watched it, went past it, doing 25 miles an hour, east-southeast, went north 2 miles, went across. It's behind us. Checking, I'm the only person on the entire Skywar net frequency, double-checking, triple-checking, should have looked at radar. I stopped looking at radar. I trusted the radio too much. And they didn't know what's going on as well. I don't think anyone knew what was going on. I drove right into it. And I'm watching other cars coming towards me. I had Greg checking things as well. Long story short, if that truck did not hit me, I would have been killed. I was lucky because, I mean, he was following me to work out. A lot of people look at the video and go, you're driving on the wrong side of the road. I'm not. It's a rear-facing camera, and the truck had already stopped once behind me previously. If you'd really watched the video, back about 5 minutes earlier, the truck had already stopped behind me, and he's just approaching. He's following me because he didn't know where to go. He should have stopped 20 miles back. Long story short, I get to the point where the trucks hit me. If I didn't make that first decision to pull forward, I would have been crushed to death. I made the decision to pull into the truck. Remember, Greg had already been killed. My storm chasing partner, Greg, was dead. Got him on comms. He wasn't there. He flipped frequencies when he tried to do evasive action for himself. So as far as I'm concerned, Greg's dead. I'm by myself. I've been hit by a truck. It's flipped over. It's sucked around. I'm inside a tornado, which doesn't exist. El Reno is still south of me. This is another tornado. I didn't realize this was El Reno. After a minute or 55 seconds, I make the decision, what can you do? Every warning light's flashing on my car because it's smashed out the back tire. I don't know if the axle is going to fall off. I think I got one move, turn the car into the semi, act as a pendulum, give it a bit more grip, stay on the road. But I've got one move. I make that one move. 6 seconds later, subvortice hits, picks up a half-loaded semi-trailer in line with a wind field, embedded in grass, and it still picks it up twice.
Wow.
By myself, I was matchstick into the wind. But because I made that move and made that decision to make that one move beforehand, it wasn't taken. That lasted 4 minutes and 20 seconds. And it got very, very graphic. Sometimes I wish I didn't have medical knowledge. I was working out specifically anatomically how I was going to die. I won't go into the details. It got extremely graphic. At one point, and I will share this with you guests, for anyone who thinks they want to, this is a safety video as well, anyone who wants to go chase a rain-wrapped HP monster, think about this. You're in a car with a fire helmet on, because that's all only protection I had besides clothing. And you strap your helmet on tight, you do the seatbelt up, lock it in place. Seat up as high as I can. So when the car goes airborne, it hopefully, please God, it lands on its roof, crushes my neck and closes my airway.
Oh, jeez.
That's what I wanted to happen. Because I knew I was going to die. I just wanted to be quick. So I was working out mechanically what's the quickest way to die. I'm thinking crush the neck. The best way to do it is to have, hopefully hit the roof and crush my neck. That's what I was expecting to happen. In the end, it didn't. In the end, it didn't.
Jesus.
So anyone wants to chase an HP monster, and the whole thing I put on YouTube, I owned up to it. I screwed up. I went and drove into it. Even after doing all those safety assessments and risk assessments, and didn't lose situational awareness. I knew exactly where I was. I just didn't realize it had turned. I stopped looking at radar. I trusted other sources. You need to know what you're doing on days like that. Just back the hell away. And ever since then, people say, do you have PTSD from that incident? I did a little bit from the next year, but now I'm just careful. If it's HP rain wrapped, what are you going to see? I can see it. I'm dead. Wow, what's the video going to look like? Well, your car flying. Good luck selling it. Your estate might get a few dollars for it.
Right.
Not going to help you. So think twice about when you want to chase an HP monster just to see that tornado. Be patient. It's going to cost money. You want to see some tornadoes? It's going to take time.
What's your confidence level now, Daniel, that you've got the first aid, the advanced first aid training and emergency medical training you've got to be able to, when you come across things like Joplin again in the future, how does that help your confidence level as a chaser? Because I think that's important for people to know that. I think that's a huge part of what you can get as a chaser.
I'll give you an honest answer. less than what it was before. And any emergency service worker would say the same thing and say, good on you, Daniel, for saying it. Because I'm trained to the level I am, no one's prepared for that. What, ambulances, from 5 states? Was it 150 dead? 1,000 injured? Hospital wiped out? Who can prepare? Oh, I've got a first aid certificate and some Band-Aids.
You're more aware of what you can't do is probably the problem.
I'm more aware
right?
of what I can't do.
Yeah.
The biggest issues, and I've been told by a lot of friends, power. One thing I do have, which is helpful, something called an AC hot stick when power goes down. And I've been taught this by people who do high voltage energy. I mean, I'm not remember to be trained this formally is a big course. Power lines being down is a big issue. Because they can recharge randomly. Sometimes when they go down, they can recharge in 15 minutes. Sometimes it's a couple, sometimes it's 5. So you got power lines down. Are they dead? Well, yeah, they look dead. They're not sparking. Well, they can recharge and re-energize. So you want to go and I'm going to go be the hero and go in and help people. Well, that power line recharges as a 22,000 volt line. You're dead at 30 meters. Yeah. And it's just a sudden recharge. So I carry the right gear to test it. But the thing is, rule number 1, check for danger, send for help. If you can help people nearby, set up triage where you are, be prepared for it and call the right resources and don't go in and be an idiot. Do it slowly, do it methodically, have the right people with you and do it teams of 2. Minimum if you're there first. If you're going to go by yourself, you're going to get yourself killed. So know what you can't do and be prepared to wait.
That's some good advice.
And it's going to be harrowing, and if it's in a major situation, you are going to watch people die. Tornadoes can be amazing, beautiful, fun, but there's an ugly side to them. Know when to switch gears and know when to put the warnings first. That's
good. Well. Hey, on that note, what's the best way that our viewers, listeners can either find you, contact you if they've got questions, or follow you on social media, Daniel?
Best thing, if you're an Australian storm chaser, sign up to Severe Weather Australia.
There you go.
Course, 90%, 95% of them already have anyway, so that's beside the point. Severestorms.com.au, the Twitter account, Daniel Shaw AU. I'm sure you'll put the links out there somewhere. Type in Daniel Shaw, Storm Chaser, Daniel Shaw will find me really easily.
And
very good.
Daniel at spidernato.com. I'm just saying.
There we go.
That's it.
Sorry, just hold on a second. What was that domain name again?
Daniel at spidernato.
Hey, thank you.
Hey, he's in the future, so he should already know.
That's right.
Right? He's already in Friday, and it's Thursday.
Tomorrow is outstanding. I'm just going to have a sip of my pine water.
There you go.
Nice. Very good.
Well, hey.
Looking at him on the camera, if you could see on that white wall behind him a big spider crawling up the wall.
That would be freaky. Whoa! Hey, what's that sound?
Uh-oh.
I think it is time. Everyone's wondering what the hell's going on. What was that? It is time for our lightning round. So this is our game show of brilliant questions for our guest. We always invite everybody to play along as well. Tonight, we're going to play something I'm going to call 3 strikes and you're out. So 3 strikes and you're out. So it's played a little bit like Family Feud. So I'm going to pit Daniel. I'm going to pit you against the Freaks. The only difference with from Family Feud is you guys each are going to have a top 10 list, but they're different. It's a different top 10 list. And the goal is to try and guess one of the top 10 items. But if you miss, you're going to get a strike. And whoever gets to 3 strikes first is out, and the other person or the other team is the winner. Does that kind of make sense?
Uh-huh.
Kind of makes sense. Okay.
Everyone against me, but that's
So
fine.
here's what we've got, and Daniel, we'll start with you. So your goal, your top 10 list, is the top 10 things Australians think about America.
Oh,
Okay.
Oh.
So these are things
Sorry,
that
your audio's broken up there. I can't hear.
yeah. So that doesn't mean you have to think these things, right? But these are the top 10 things Australians think about America. What's weird about what's going on in America that you've discovered? Okay, and this comes from the OdysseyOnline.com. So so I'll start with you. First question, you just got to pick. What do you think is one of the top 10 strange things that Australians think about America?
Your politics.
Yeah.
Our politics. All right, let's check.
I kept that pretty open-ended.
Yes.
Let's check with
That's
the
gotta be
judges.
the number one answer.
And I'll say this, judges, what do you say on that? Ooh. Yep, sorry, that's not on the top 10. Now here's the challenge: is this top 10 list could have come out prior to 16?
Did it come out before 2016?
Yeah, it might have. So that's maybe not while it's on there, but that is a strike for you, Daniel. Sorry.
But you're right.
We don't play favorites.
I formally contest.
We don't play favorites. That's fair.
Yeah, I would too.
We got to update our list. Judges, let's update that list. Okay, they're going to check on that. All right, freaks. So where do you guys? And I'm just going to go down the line. So Maz, I'm going to start with you.
All right.
You're going to be the first one. You guys, your list is the top 10 things Americans get wrong about Australia. Comes from alternet.org. What are the top 10 things that we as Americans get wrong about Australia? Go ahead, Maz. What do you think?
There's crocodiles everywhere.
You know what? I'm going to give you this. I'm going to give you that there's koalas and kangaroos and wildlife literally roam the streets. So it wasn't specific to alligators.
Break. That is the biggest load of rubbish I've ever seen in my life. If you see a kangaroo, there was a kangaroo that hopped across the Sydney Harbour Bridge. It made international news. It's like, what's a kangaroo? It doesn't happen. If there was a kangaroo at Bondi right now, I'd be pissed. I wasn't
right. No, and that's the point. These
right.
are the things Americans get wrong about Australia. The thing that's wrong. So it's a little different than yours.
Oh, they're everywhere.
Right?
Okay,
yeah. Is so that what we get wrong is that we think koalas and kangaroos and wildlife are just roaming the streets.
Well, it depends where you are, though. If you're in regional, sort of semi-regional,
well,
they actually do.
Hey, you can take it up with alternet.org, okay? You go to them and complain.
I might just do that.
I don't care to hear it. All right, so we're back to you, Daniel. Top 10 things Australians think is weird about America, or something that you think about America.
Oh, I'm being so careful with what I'm saying here. We're about America, the gun laws.
The gun laws. So why do you say that? What's different than what the gun laws in Australia?
You guys don't
Guns
have
are banned here.
Yeah.
All our guns got. Again, it depends who made the list. If an Australian made the list, that would probably work. But if the American made a list, you wouldn't think about it. We banned guns, automatic firearms, years ago after a massacre.
Yeah.
Happened a long time ago.
Okay.
So that's my official answer. I know I'll get a strike for it.
All right. I'm checking with the judges, and judges say judges are going to give that one to you, Daniel. They're saying that equates to everyone is so nice and friendly in the United States that will let people carry guns. We've got those kind of gun laws. All right, let's go to the freaks. Dina, I'm going to you. Top 10 things Americans get wrong about Australia.
Maybe that everybody has to do you call it a walkabout? Does everybody do a walkabout?
What's a walkabout?
Like,
define that.
Yeah.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah. It's a walkabout.
What is it? Define it.
I mean, I'm getting this from like Crocodile Dundee.
Exactly.
What is a walkabout?
Like where they go and they walk through, like
the back bush.
Through the outback?
Yeah.
Just for fun.
Yeah.
Okay, we got to check with the judges on that. All right, so we're going to give you Australians live in the outback. That's what we get wrong, is we just think all Australians live in the outback. I'm not playing favorites here, Daniel.
I'll give you that one.
Hey, I gave you everyone is so nice and friendly for gun laws. So Daniel, we're back at you. You got one strike. Top 10 things Australians think about America. What else?
You drive on the wrong side of the road.
Drive on the wrong side of the road. You know, it's funny because I thought I saw that somewhere. But judges are going to say, no, that's
wow.
Not top 10. Not top 10. All right, MJ, where to you? What do we get wrong about Australia?
Microphone.
Yeah, I got it. All they ever do is drink beer.
All they ever do is drink beer. They drink Foster's and a lot of beer. That's one thing we get wrong.
Foster's Australian for beer, isn't that?
So Daniel, I thought I read somewhere that your country is more apt to drink wine than beer. Would that sound right?
You will not find a Foster's if you go to any pub, bar in all cities. You cannot find a Foster's. I want you to retract that. It doesn't happen. Foster's, it's a marketing thing. Wine does exist. Yeah, absolutely. But no,
and so that's one thing we get wrong.
Beer.
That's what we get wrong about you guys. That was number 2.
Yep.
So that was there. What was I going to ask you about Oh, what's the American import, most popular American import to drink in Australia?
I don't know.
Like American beer? Do you see that in the pubs
It
anywhere?
would be it'd probably be Jack Daniel's whiskey, but I don't think there's a heap of. I mean, I'm not really a big drinker. In fact, I'm a very, very boring.
Well, you drink a lot of pine water. We've learned that.
Pine water's what does it for me.
Okay, all right. So we're back to
Plain
you,
water.
Daniel. You got 2 strikes. We got to find one more thing Australians think about America.
That the entire country is populated from coast to coast.
Okay, populated coast to coast. And that would be your 3rd strike. That was incorrect. So I'll quick run through this. Everything
correct,
is so
okay.
cheap, so we must be pretty cheap, inexpensive here compared to the costs in Australia. Why don't your crossing lights make noise? I guess your crossing lights make noises to cross the streets. Ours don't. What's with the 1 cent coin? Do you guys not have like a penny or a 1?
We used to, but we got rid of it. We ran to the nearest 5 cents.
You were smart. You were good.
Okay.
Why don't you add sales tax to the price tag? Why is your cheese orange?
That's a good one. Yeah.
Why is your cheese orange? Also, your portion sizes are huge. Are our portion sizes that big? Like
course.
big
God,
gulps?
yes.
And
I even know
if you
they
go to
are.
Las Vegas for a buffet, the portion sizes are huge.
oh God, yeah.
That's
Or go to
a
Texas.
danger in America.
Apparently, we have a big liking for ranch dressing on everything. We have too much water in our toilet bowls. And you guys have no clue what the hell Fahrenheit is, and I guess we're a Fahrenheit country.
I quote Fahrenheit.
That's got to make storm chasing kind of tough. And then what we get wrong about Australia, you guys missed. You've got you're dangerous because you have killer wildlife, but crap, from what you said, that is true. Yeah, huntsman spiders running around.
Huntsmans are perfectly fine. They're just scary.
Okay. Also, we get wrong thinking you've got great human rights record and a Bill of Rights. Apparently, you guys do not have a Bill of Rights.
We have a constitution. I've never read it.
Okay.
Jim
Bill of Rights.
Jeffrey said it best. Jeffrey said it best. Watch
You
his
guys,
show.
you
No
guys
social
don't.
studies there.
Yeah, you guys don't go around saying you're cooking shrimp on the Barbie. Your
Yeah, of
toilets
course.
don't flush in a reverse direction because you're down south. Aussies are fit and tan, and we've learned from your coloring tonight that's probably not true.
I mean, they don't all look like Hugh Jackman and Thor.
Wow.
I swear I will delay this broadcast.
Yeah.
As long as I need. And they can all sit there painfully while I make it perfect.
Oh,
All right. So anyway, hey, great job playing along with us, Daniel. We definitely appreciate that. Go ahead.
I gotta ask Daniel a question. If I ever get down there, I heard this. I don't know if it's true or not. If you order 2 beers and you hold your hand up the wrong way for ordering 2 beers, is that a bad thing?
If you have a credit card and you pay cash, I'm sure it's fine.
No, like how do you signal your bartender 2 beers? Show me.
Just-
Okay,
I say it. If it's for me and a friend or whatever, I say 2 beers.
but you can't turn your hand backwards
2
and do
beers,
that.
mate.
You can't turn the hand backwards and do it? Is
I don't
that
think
right?
anyone cares. I think they just want their money.
Hey, Mads, they flip people off down there all the time.
I don't know
it's
what it
really
was.
no big deal.
Okay.
We're larrikins. We're very easygoing. We're a friendly bunch.
There we go. All right, so we're going to take a short break. Stay right here. We've got our weather fools and our new weather trolls to introduce to you next.
1. All right, welcome back. Oh, Brady. You know he's in spirit here with us right now, right? I know this is his favorite segment. I got to tell you, it is kind of growing on me a little bit. It's time for Weather Fools. It's where you find video of people just doing dumb stuff that they know they shouldn't do, and yet they do it. Daniel, that was not for you, by the way. I didn't film videos.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, you're going to be my next episode. Don't worry about it. I won't do it while you're here.
Exactly.
What, the whole episode?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Dina, so you have one tonight?
Yeah, and I've got to share my screen to do this because this is from News Flare, and this is you know how I always show people driving through flooded waters. Well, this is like one of the worst because this is a school bus in India that
Lord.
drove through this flood, and what do you
That
think?
water is moving. That
It's
water is
moving.
moving.
Yeah, how do you
And
miss
you don't
that?
know where you don't know how deep it is, or if it's going to have like a sinkhole underneath.
Here we go.
Here goes the bus. Like, oh, we can get out.
Oh my God, that's
They
up
got
to the
lucky,
lights, up to the headlights.
They made it, but
They made it. Oh, yeah.
they did.
You know what the kids are saying.
Look at all those kids. There's all these kids on the bus.
Oh,
it is a
it's
school bus. Oh my
ridiculous.
God.
They were saying,
and
you
there's
don't
like those bars on the wall or the bars on the side of the bus. So if something happened,
Yeah, they can't even get out.
out.
But you can't be late. If you're tardy for school, you're
Oh my God.
Yeah, you're
dumb,
in
dumb.
I've been emailing our ambassador, U.S. ambassador in India, telling them you've got to introduce "Turn Around, Don't Drown," and they're working on it. They're working on it.
Okay.
They haven't shared it yet, but they're working on it.
Did you really?
No.
Okay.
But hey, we should, because we are ambassadors, Weather Ready Nation ambassadors. We should, because that might not just be the U.S., right? That could be the world. We could be worldwide Weather Ready Nation ambassadors.
Since when did common sense just disappear? Was it like 2004?
Yeah, do you have to be in a certain country to have common? That's a good point.
There isn't any around here anymore.
Just saying.
Good point.
Yeah, but I'm in a hurry, so I'm going to take a bunch of kids across this flooded roadway in a bus.
Yeah. It's fake common sense.
Yeah.
Fake common sense.
All right.
Oh, sorry. I forgot it. Still,
Yeah,
so used to Brady.
Maz is not used to doing weather.
I know. I'm like, okay, Brady. Oh, it's right, Brady. Okay, so Phil, you've got one, right?
I do have a weather fool, and it's a little bit along the lines of what Dina had. It is also a flooded driving situation. However, this is from Twitter. This is care of Live Storm Chasers, livestormchasers.com, and it is a old grandpa who's got his little scooter, and he is driving through flooded waters in his little scooter. And he's got his nice little flag behind him, so he knows this guy probably visits Uptown quite a bit. He just said, this flash flooding in my street is not going to stop me from getting to the drugstore.
It's a no-wake zone.
You know what? I've got a really big issue with that. Do you know what my issue is?
What is that?
It was filmed vertically. Everyone.
That's what you saw. So we're all watching Grandpa in the flood.
See this? See this little phone here? Okay, it's not that hard. It's so hard to turn your camera that way. Okay, look at your TV. Seriously, get your TV, mount it vertically, and see what happens. And watch it crash to the floor. Everyone, this is a mobile phone. Camera. Turn the camera sideways. Public safety announcement.
You're a video. Yep, you're a video. What do you call that? A video
snob.
Video snob.
Yep.
Video snob.
Yeah.
We're all watching Grandpa go through the flood, and Daniel's going, "Why the hell are they taping
shooting
this
vertically?"
Absolutely.
Right. So if you want to see Grandpa and any of the other videos we've shown you so far, and you're not sure what the links are, you can check them out on stormfrontfreaks.com, episode 61 show notes. Is that right?
That's right. All right. Well, hey, I think that just about does it for this episode of Stormfront Freaks podcast. Thanks for listening and watching. Before I reveal our next guest, if you enjoy our show, do us a favor, leave a great review on your podcast app as well. Don't forget to subscribe to the show by hitting your podcast app subscribe button. Works just like a magazine or newspaper subscription, and it assures the latest show gets delivered right to your inbox the moment we release it. Special thanks to our guest tonight, Daniel Shaw. Thank you, Daniel. It was a pleasure having you on, my friend. Thanks for taking the time and scaring the crap out of us with all your spider stories. Our next episode is going to be in 2 weeks. We'll be recording on September 20th with atmospheric scientist at NASA's Airborne Science Program, Ed Teets, is going to be our guest. If you'd like to watch the recording live at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 Central, check out our YouTube channel by searching Stormfront Freaks. So for MJ, I see Maz has already left for some reason. Brady's not here. I had him in the script, but he never showed up. So I'm just saying MJ right now, Dina, and for Daniel, I'm going to go ahead and signal the all clear, and we'll catch you all next time.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for listening to the Stormfront Freaks podcast. Find our bi-weekly show on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app. Watch our shows on YouTube and Oklahoma Weather Tracker TV. For show notes, additional information about this episode, as well as past and upcoming shows, videos, photos, merchandise, and more, visit our website at stormfrontfreaks.com. While you're there, check out our live interactive storm chaser radar provided by our friends at zoomradar.com. If you would like to contact us with questions or make comments about the show, shoot us an email to questions@stormfrontfreaks.com or follow us on Twitter or Facebook. Search for Stormfront Freaks. We'd love to hear from you. Join us next time and tell a friend about the Stormfront Freaks podcast.
I don't know. I'm looking at huntsman pictures right now. Holy
Oh, are you freaked out? You're freaked out. God.
Look at the video.
Daniel, you've given him nightmares. You're going to give him nightmares tonight.
Hey, you had the brown
huntsman
recluse.
spider,
Thank
you
you. You had the brown recluse. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's,
we do.
That's
We
true.
do. But that's not that. It's not
that's
as
scary as well.
Because that one
All
will
right.
kill you in a stealth like.